following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and of course in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. Usually Jeff Stein would join us today. He is not available, but I've got, you might even consider it might be a little bit better. Cliff Schechter is kind enough to join us right now.
I'm better than nobody. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, man? I mean, I got an upgrade. I'm flying first class today. The best part is Jeff is going to hear this, and I am going to get such grief from him about it.
And I don't know Jeff, and now you've just like completely disrespected him, and I want him to know that I didn't say that. I'm sure you're a wonderful man, Jeff, beloved by all. The skies open when you walk, and the sun shines brightly upon you.
Go pump the brakes there a little bit.
I'm having fun. I'm being a goofball. All right. It's all good.
You, of course, there's a lot of places that, Cliff is out there. He is, Substack. You basically, they just call it Cliff Stack now. I mean, you've been dominating over there, correct?
We've been doing well, ever since I decided to risk bodily injury by holding in what I had to hold in for 12 hours to do a 12-hour live stream. The crazy PR side of me said, this will get people's attention. And we luckily got some great guests, including you. And we did, and we got a lot of subscribers, and we have, nearly 600,000, which is sort of insane. And it's growing. And tomorrow kicks off my first, because we did so well, they gave me a show. So my first Substack live show that they're promoting and called Amped Up with Cliff Schechter, which will be every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern on Substack. You have to subscribe to be able to see it. But there's, it's a big audience at this point. Like, your governor there joined, for example, and people like that. And tomorrow I've got Joe Walsh coming on as my first guest, and David Schuster is going to join me to co-host. And people may remember David as an Emmy award-winning anchor at MSNBC and CNN. So it should be fun.
Well, it's of course, you got to go to Substack and subscribe. There's a button there for you to do that on your page, correct?
Yes, I can even, I don't know if you've got a little chat thing here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I put it in there. It's just blueamp.co. Very easy.
Blueamp.
So blueamp.co. And you can, that's one of the ways. There's a few ways you can get there, but that's the easiest one to remember. Go subscribe, join hundreds of thousands of your fellow citizens who hopefully want to fight back. And, we do what you would expect. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are not high on our list. Elon Musk is high, but not high on our list. We take them apart as one would, as we take them apart as Donald Trump has done to the stock market. I'll just find metaphors everywhere here. And go after MAGA, go after the right wing, and point out how they are un-American, how they are cruel and evil and harming all of us. And no, this doesn't mean every single Republican out there, but beyond the stuff that makes all of the headlines. And now I'm forgetting his name, and it's making me angry. But I think it's Kimar Hidalgo, or the gentleman who is innocent, who is taken to El Salvador. Like any American who doesn't stop themselves when they hear that an innocent human being was taken and thrown into a prison in a foreign country with terrorists and gang members, and that we know he's innocent, that the Trump administration admitted he's innocent, and they're trying to use every legal means to not bring him back. What kind of, and I can't say the words on here that I would say on my thing, kind of an evil, I'm just going to say this, and hopefully on son of a bitch do you have to be? What kind of an evil, awful, these people that claim to have read the New Testament, yes, just as Jesus would have done. You are such excrement as a human being if you are okay with an innocent father being grabbed off the street, sent there, and just sort of saying, all right, we made a mistake. Now he's theirs. Like, don't ever walk up to me and say that to my face, that it's okay, he's there, because I'll have trouble controlling myself.
There's two parts of this. One is there's no way all these rulings that are coming down from the Supreme Court would ever go any other president's way like this. They'd all be 9-0 for any other president, including W. Just would not happen.
Just think of them as what I always say. I'll just say in 2 seconds: Republicans in robes. That's what they are.
Well, they clearly are. And anyone that thinks Roberts is a moderate, he's the one that's basically keeping this innocent man in this gulag in El Salvador. But you had said something when I talked to you earlier today. You had said something which is something we need to start talking about, because this kind of seems like where this whole thing is going. The fact that he's going after the lawyers now, and he's going after people, and he was telling people to, that they should be restrained and should be stopped, and they can't be talking and stuff like this. I've got concerns about you, about me, Jeff, our friends, that people out there that, Trump this is how much can they get away with? And when you ship Garcia, I believe it is the guy out of Maryland, you ship him down to El Salvador, and he's clearly innocent, and no one in the government is even trying to get him back at this point. The question then becomes,
no one in Trump's government. There's people in the government, Democrats, who are, and frankly, there may even be a couple of Republicans, but nobody of the MAGA variety is. They don't care about human beings.
Well, and the question is this okay, what are they going to allow us to get away with? And if all of a sudden one day they feel as if it suits a purpose for them to get Cliff Schechter and grab him off the streets of Cincinnati and throw him into an El Salvadorian gulag and go, oopsie, and John Roberts is saying, well, you don't have to get him back so quickly now. I mean, that's the question we have to ask ourselves, is where is this going? Because it sure seems we are on the front end of Stalin and his gulags, with Trump, as he himself keeps saying, there are American citizens I want to send down there. And
right. He said that, and he's actually trying. There was an article today in HuffPost trying to find legal justification means for deporting U.S. citizens, which there are none, and he will never find any. That doesn't mean he won't do it, though. And so, I mean, look, I'm worried. How can you not be? I don't sit around worrying about it every day or thinking about it all the time. But when I do think about it, I also think about the fact that, what country do I want my kids to grow up in? And what country do we all want to have? And if people who have voices that maybe even have a modicum of influence, I'm not claiming to have the influence of members of Congress or, whatever it might be. But if we give in, as they say, if we stop doing that, that's when it's a done deal. Then you might as well just say because then if there's no resistance to this, then we become that. And so, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's not something that it's not a pleasant thought. It's not and it's the bigger reason why 2%, apparently, you guys are amazing, by the way. I heard 80,000 people were out there in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is incredible. That was the most incredible number I heard outside of Boston, having like 100,000.
Wow. How about that New York crowd where they panned down the street and it looked like the astronauts had just come back. I couldn't believe how many people were in New York.
No, and my original hometown, I'll give them a ton of credit. Obviously, also a very, very big population there too. I mean, I don't know what it is per capita, 80,000. I don't know the size of Minneapolis, St. Paul. I bet you do, but that's and the 2% of the population. Well, remember when that march against Vucic, or however you pronounce his fascist name, in Serbia, in Belgrade, they got something like 14 or 15% of the population out there. So we got 2%. Let's build on that. There's another one coming on April 19th, because again, we need to stop it now. If we don't stop it now, it will get to us, Matt, and a lot of other people. It will get to professors at universities. It will get to corporate types who they think are doing DEI. I put that in quotes for anybody not watching, just listening. All that kind of stuff. Like, they will get to everybody who doesn't just march to attention when they say you should do something. And so, like, the time to stop all of this, to prevent all this, just like electing that judge in Wisconsin and showing in Florida, we could way overperform. We have 3 major U.S. Senate races coming up at the end of this year, and one of them's from an incumbent, Ossoff. 2 of them are not. And, when it comes to both Ohio and Florida, I'm not going to say either of those are the kind of lifts they were 15 years ago, but when there are no real incumbents, like, they're all point people, but they're not really incumbents, and Trump is not on the ballot, and Trump right now is such a drag, that we had an 11-point turnaround in Wisconsin from a 1-point Trump win to a 10-point Trump loss, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. That should tell you, again, the direction we're headed in.
Florida, 17.5 in one race, 19 in the other race. And those are huge overturns. And of course, they're still a Republican. But I mean, what you basically have said is there's any race that's within 15 to 17 points where the Republicans won this last election, those are technically toss-ups now. And
right. Well, Elise Stefanik's seat is a plus 10 seat. And they pulled her out of the UN nomination to run for it again because I'm sure they're looking at their numbers and they were showing them they were going to lose. So that should tell you if you can perform at a plus 12, 14 kind of level, Kamala Harris lost to Trump, who overperforms here, sadly, by 11 points. We absolutely can win Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
In the midterm. We probably can win Florida. It wasn't much worse there. It was about 13 points, I think. And we hold on to Georgia, especially if they do what they say they're going to do. And there's talk of nominating Marjorie Taylor Greene. Please do that. Please do that.
Well, and I think that, they might end up doing it because no one else wants to, because everyone else looks at this and says, I can see the writing on this wall. And that idiot doesn't see that. One thing, when you go back to really quick, we got about a minute on this one, the vision of masked armed men grabbing people off the streets.
That one in Massachusetts is horrific.
What in the, this is some, I have my friends in Europe are calling us like, is everyone okay? What is going on? I mean, this is some real dictator 101 stuff.
Well, I watched that and my immediate reaction was, I think I put something out there. I don't remember what, Substack or YouTube. And I was like, this isn't America. Like, this is not, and she may have even, I know I saw what she wrote. She wrote some things I don't agree with, and we have some disagreements on Israel-Palestine stuff. I'm more moderate on it, but I don't want to get into all of it. Point being, that doesn't matter if I disagree with her. She's allowed to say what she wants. She's in America, or she should, or what we once called America. To grab her off the streets and see that image of her screaming in fear as masked men grabbed her. I mean, my God, is this what we want? Is the country we want?
Yeah, it's just terrifying to see this, and it's a march towards totalitarianism. And once again, the Supreme Court seems to be signing off on it. We're going to take a break. When I do come on back, I want to talk a little bit about Barrett, because I think the reason why Roberts is shifting his points of view is all of a sudden Barrett has not become the dependable vote on the court they thought she was going to be. We'll talk.
He's secretly a communist. Okay.
Well, that's what they're saying now.
I know. That's why I have fun with that stuff, because they freak out. So it's
Cliff Schechter is kind enough to join us today. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. We'll take a break. Come back. The Matt McNeil Show.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Coming up this Thursday on The Gailey Show, as Trump and Elon Musk end federal HIV prevention funding and staffing, we take a deeper look into the impacts at the state and local level with Ezra McNair, the advocacy organizer and volunteer manager at the Aliveness Project. So join us Thursday at 2 p.m. or stream us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Blue Sky for ticket giveaways and more progressive news and analysis. We're at thegaileyshow.org on Blue Sky.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
A wonderful Easter is easy with the annual Easter brunch at the Park Tavern. Enjoy Easter ham, roast beef, all your Easter breakfast favorites, all the sides and desserts. Seating's from 10:30 to 3 on Sunday, April 20th, and you need reservations. $24.95 for adults, $19.95 for those 65 and over, and kids 12 and under, and 5 and under are free. And don't forget the hour of free bowling with every reservation. Call 952-929-6810. That's 952-929-6810 on Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Easter brunch is fun and easy and waiting for you at the Park Tavern. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Cliff Schechter kind enough to join us here to begin off the show today. Cliff, we'll talk about the markets because one of the things that a lot of people are not discussing about what happened today with Trump rescinding the tariffs and the markets jumping up, they had to, because if you looked at the bond market this morning, the bond market was collapsing. And that's not a recession. That's a depression. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later on here.
But, it still doesn't change the fact that, the way he leads, which is whimsical, which is, fly by the seat of his pants, whatever he's aggrieved at. He has like a whole grievance gland, I believe, that exists in his body. Just all of that leads. This is when I hear these little, what can I call him that won't get me banned from your station? Jerks,
Orange
like
idiot.
Bill,
Orange idiots.
That works. Like Bill Ackman, who's like, it's destroying things now, and he's whining and crying and talking about nuclear winter. It's like, listen, you jackarse, how is it that you did not know that you Mr. Big Shot? I'm not Mr. Big Shot on Wall Street. I understand that stability, predictability, those kinds of things actually matter when it comes to markets and foreign policy. They're the most important thing. All right. Because if people lose confidence, they freak out and it becomes a mob mentality. And you see people sell and all of that. How did you, you looked at this man, his behavior, his whole life, his behavior, the first term, his behavior, lying about the election and during the interim and thought, yeah, that's going to bring stability. It's these business types that voted for him that are now whining that honestly, I just want to be like, will you just shut up? Honestly, you did this. You brought this, you voted for this. He's like, I didn't vote for this. Yeah, you did.
You bankrolled it. He said he was going to do this. And the fact that, and by the way, speaking of a bunch of idiots, how about the fact that Trump seems to have been sided with Elon over Navarro at the point? Because you remember, Elon was really kind of go after Navarro all of a sudden.
Right.
And so the fact that all of them, including Navarro, saying, this is exactly what we wanted to do. No, you didn't want to do this. It takes a little bit more to break down. I'll do it in the second half of this hour, but I'll talk about the fact that we're clearly not out of this. But Trump, what is with? Is it just all this blind allegiance because he bought Twitter and killed it for Trump? I don't know, but
that funded. He just put $25 million. Thankfully, he burned all of it into a Wisconsin election. He's threatened to go after anybody that challenges. Who stands up to Trump on anything. A classic example right now is one of the few people as scummy, as disgusting, as rapey, as with his many convictions as Donald Trump is Ken Paxton, who just jumped in a race and was almost impeached by Republicans and just jumped into a race versus John Cornyn, because Cornyn is more of the business Republican establishment that still own all of this because they closed their eyes and let Trump do what he was going to do and get away with all of this, all the things that he's done. And, and so I think that's the kind of guy that Elon Musk will bankroll that. And he wouldn't have gotten in the race trust me, if Paxton went to Trump and said, should I get in the race? And Trump said, I will come out against you, he would not have gotten in that race. He got in with their explicit support because Cornyn speaks out in certain things like tariffs against Trump. So that's what that's what Musk is there for. He's a little plaything with money. And therefore, Navarro is the one defending Trump's policy. Musk is attacking Trump's policy, but Trump defends defends Musk. If you ever want to get where loyalty is in that, what to Donald Trump is, can you give him money? Can you find him somebody at the Moscow Hilton to do stuff I can't say?
So I want to give you an interesting thing about Musk. So my youngest daughter was on spring break last week. She went down to Cocoa Beach, which is just south of Cape Canaveral. She's there, and she said, "Oh, all over the place there was all these construction, projects that were going on, and they are all federal government projects, and they all had SpaceX on it." And I don't think we're starting to understand how much government contracts Elon Musk has gotten very quickly signed by Trump. And the fact that they're already out there digging up beaches, they were digging up the sand of Cocoa Beach for something that he was going to use on one of his launch sites. And I'm like, this is great. I mean, the fact that it's so prevalent and prominent down there, it is kind of, they're two little bed bugs, aren't they, snuggling in together?
Yeah. Well, they are. And that's the thing is at this point, Elon needs him to a certain degree too.
Oh yeah.
Because they're, again, bringing the market back today, I guess, because of their tariffs, stuff and whatever. Look, there's a margin call at up between 120 and 140 for Tesla. It's fallen as low as 220. It's still, you're going to have people, their sales are going to keep crashing. At this point, the most recent figure this year has it down 73% in Germany, which is the largest car market in Europe. It's way down. People, I mean, it is a scarlet letter now. It's like what happened. Name a company, Enron, Lehman Brothers. It can't come back with that. They need to dump their CEO and they need to change their name. And that's really the only chance they have because it is so negatively associated. So he's losing money. He needs those contracts.
Well, and Tesla today announced they're not taking any more trade-ins because they're not selling any new cars, and they've already got their lots are full of old Teslas people have given back because they don't want them anymore.
Right. And now quickly, I'll say people are starting to cancel Starlink. Italy just canceled their Starlink contract. You're going to start seeing that with European countries and other places too. So it's not just Tesla where he's going to suffer. So he needs these no bid contracts.
Well, just once again, as I mentioned earlier, Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court Justice, once again, I honestly think the reason why Roberts is starting to jump back more on the Trump side of things and, this king idea as president is because Barrett was supposed to be this guaranteed vote for him. And she's starting to turn, she's becoming very Sandra Day O'Connor, and she's becoming much more of a less and less reliable far right vote.
Well, that's the thing. And I think public pressure actually really does get to Roberts. I think he's, I think he's exactly what he looks like, a little preppy boy wimp, who's scared of. So when he starts hearing the right wing, clamoring and attacking him, I think it works the way it works on certain media figures. And he ends up voting on, going with the people. Remember, he didn't originally want to sign that Alito decision overturning Roe. He was trying to get them together to find a compromise where they would allow abortion in the first 3 months or 2 months, whatever it was. It wouldn't have been good enough, trust me, but something where it wasn't a full, and he couldn't get him to do it. And in the end, the right was screaming and yelling, and he ended up joining and doing it, even though he apparently didn't want to. He's a coward, just like so many of these Republicans. That's all he is. So he's scared of Trump and he's scared of the MAGA people. And you're right. Barrett, at least before, if she kept voting for stuff and it kept passing, he could kind of maybe vote against some of it. But without her there, they need his vote.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly with that.
And then the pitchforks come for him if those cases lose.
Well, and his, this court's legacy is sealed. All right. So Blue Amp on Substack. You've got Cliff's Edge over on YouTube because you were just there today. And of course, people support him for goodness sakes. It is great quality content. You are just not going to find anywhere else. Cliff Schechter, once again, it's blueamp.co. Blueamp.co is where you can find how you can support him. And, my show is better when he is on it. It is Cliff Schechter.
Thank you.
Cliff, outstanding as always. Once again, when's your live feed tomorrow?
2 p.m. Eastern. I will be on live with David Schuster, and our guest is Joe Walsh, former Republican congressman who turned against Trump and the Republican Party. Should be fun.
2 p.m., 1 p.m. Central. Thanks, Cliff. We'll take a break. Come back. Matt McNeil Show.
Thank you.
Come on, you know it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, a college political science instructor and attorney. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We dive into how civics, politics, and law affect you. Discover how government impacts your daily life from the federal level all the way down to your local city. Each week, I'll share my key takeaways and teaching moments on crucial civics concepts to help understand what is happening in the current political environment. That's Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch. Sundays at 5 p.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 59, tonight cloudy with a low around 38, and Thursday cloudy with a high near 50. Savor the excellence at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. Or taste buds with their range of sandwiches from the savory Philly steak to tempting turkey bacon avocado. Explore crispy chicken, fish, brisket, and pulled pork options. Check out mavericksbeef.com or visit them off Lexington and Roseville. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in Chicago in the evenings, WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and of course in Seattle at night, 1150 AM KKNW. Good to be with you all today. Cliff Schechter, we'll have that interview up for your listening approval, kind of like Kat Abu-Ghazali yesterday. You know, people who are not used to having to watch their language. It's always nice to come into the FCC rules, and so I've got I'm between Patrick and Brett that they're working up a sweat on the dump button. Let's just
They don't even know how often I push it when you're talking.
Bleepity bleepity bleep.
It's every other word, it seems. Yes.
Bleep. I bet you we could do that podcast and we'd have 1 million listeners. Anyway, yeah, there we go. That's the world we live in today. All right, so I want to talk about what happened today because the stock market's running up, and the Dow went up to 2,900 points today. That wasn't because necessarily Trump did anything good. That was because the stocks wanted to basically kind of pat him on the head and say, if you do this right, we won't collapse on you. But by the time I get to the end of this discussion topic here, I'm going to point out that we are in freaking very serious trouble. Because why Trump did this is not because of the benevolence of that dirtbag's heart. No. He did this because this morning, this country was on the verge, was about 12 hours away or so from an irreversible economic collapse that would have wiped out. I mean, we're not talking recession. We're talking not only depression, but deep depression. That if Trump hadn't done what he did today, the economy of this country would have collapsed. I'll get to that and exactly why. And why you should not be feeling like any of this is over, because this is not over. Anyway, the points. First of all, Trump sent markets surging Wednesday when he announced he would implement a 90-day pause on most of the tariffs he had planned to implement. The Truth Social post, Trump ramped up his pressure on China by announcing he was raising their tariffs to a nation of 125%. However, he backed off his plans to slap tariffs on nearly every other nation in the world. Based on that fact, more than 75 countries have called representatives to the United States, including the Department of Commerce, Treasury, and the U.S. Treasury Department, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, current manipulation, non-tariff. This he's basically making it sound like, okay, so our country's calling the United States and saying, hey, you know, are you guys serious about this? That's a big difference between what Trump is trying to make it seem like they're all begging me for my benevolence, and I shall bequeath my benevolence for 90 days. I mean, that's how he's playing this out. I mean, by the way, is one of those 75 countries the Penguin Islands? Have the Penguins called him about negotiating the tariffs with Heard and McDonald Island? Because I don't think the Penguins have called. But anyway, yeah. No, this is not. He is basically just pulling numbers out. And by the way, I'm going to make sure I go through something here in a little bit that just shows you how much lying this guy does about all of this stuff. I mean, everything he is saying, just presume he is lying or exaggerating it to an nth degree. So they have these 75 countries called up saying, are you sure you want to do that? That's not groveling for forgiveness, as Trump has tried to make it seem like. The pause in the tariffs has come as Trump has faced increasing pressure on his Liberation Day announcement from last week, sent markets spiraling downward, led to many investment banks to raise the odds of a recession this year. The White House did not immediately respond to a list of requests for a list of countries whose tariff rates will drop to the universal baseline of 10%. You know, and that seems to be where it was that there was a point about this where it wasn't quite clear whether that was, you know, the most, here's the most puzzling aspect of this announcement for many observers is where this leaves Mexico and Canada. During the gaggle, Bessent said, the Treasury Secretary, very clearly said yes when asked if the two countries were included in the 10% baseline tariff. The portion of Bessent's remarks was played out loud over and over by reporters to make sure they got it right. What remains unclear is whether that's in addition to the 25% tariff placed on the U.S. and Mexican, U.S. placed on Mexican and Canadian imports to combat fentanyl traffic, or whether the 10% only kicks in after that tariff falls away. The BBC and others seem to have almost every other media outlet out there has called the White House to clarify this. So far, they haven't had an answer. That's a really big sign that they don't. This was okay. When I read that so you have these 25% tariffs that Trump placed on Mexico and in Canada about fentanyl, which once again is pretty much a non-existent problem from Canada. So whatever. Is this 10% on top of that, meaning it's a 35%, or did he just get rid of the 25% tariffs on them and it's only 10% on them? That remains to be seen. The fact that they can't answer that because they don't quite know the answer is a huge red flag that this was not some sort of, master stroke by Trump or anything. Addressing reporters at the White House on Wednesday, Bessent said the latest changes on Trump's tariffs policy was Trump's strategy all along. Wait a second. Whoa. Your strategy all along was to actually burn off our relations with most of the countries of the world, because once again, These tariffs kicked in last night at midnight, which set about a series of things, which I will get to, which basically caused Trump and his White House that if they had not lifted these things immediately, by the end of the day today, we would have been in economic peril. We would have been heading, barreling towards a depression. So they had to lift them. But this was your intent all along, to basically put Germany in front of a speeding train, and then as the train slightly nicks them, pulling them aside, saying, well, thank God we were here. That doesn't seem like that was a plan. That seems like basically you are frantically trying to change things. This goes back to the Canada and Mexico thing. They don't have an answer on what their tariffs are currently at. This was reactionary. This is a quote. This was his strategy all along, that you might even say he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves the world to be the bad actors. They're willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well. Well, but they already were retaliating. Canada has been retaliating. Mexico has been retaliating. The EU voted to retaliate. And none of that seemed to faze you. So there were countries that retaliated. But that's now all of a sudden you're acting as if no one did retaliate. That doesn't make any sense either. This is Trump, and he was asked about this. They were getting yippy. He said, a little bit unlike these champions. He was there with the NASCAR racers. No other president would have done what I did. You're right. I think we all can agree on that. Maybe Jackson, because he was also an idiot when it came to finances, but there. He also took aim directly at China, which he called the biggest abuser in history. Somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it's not sustainable. China, he insists, wants to make a deal, but doesn't know how quite to go about it. Okay, what are you talking about? China doesn't care. And China is still a massive problem for the United States right now. And I want to repeat, massive problem for the United States right now. It was only a few hours ago that the European Union had voted to hit back with its own countermeasures after Trump imposed the 25% import duties on European steel and aluminum last month. The EU's messaging was cautious, stressing a clear preference to find negotiated outcomes. The EU's retaliatory tariffs had already been delayed from the start of April, and those agreed today were to be imposed in 3 stages. So it wasn't exactly coming down hard. But what the EU was doing was waiting to see what China was going to do to see about theirs, because they know if China is basically on Trump's radar, then they don't have to. They can put their stuff in, and they're not going to have nearly as much problem. Or, well, it comes down to this: China actually will dictate a lot of our markets because they're a massive trading partner with us, or they were at least. Brazil is laughing at us right now. So the EU is basically saying, they played their hand fairly effectively because they basically said, well, they could see where this was going, that eventually there was going to be a collapse that was coming. And if that collapse was coming, well, guess what? So, like I said, there was a lot going on here that tells me that this was not exactly planned. And this was much more reactionary. Now, I'll get to why this is a huge problem. But I also want to get to clarifying some things that Trump has said. Trump has said that the United States is making $2 billion a day from tariffs. We're making a fortune with tariffs, $2 billion a day. Trump said, a day. He said about his tariff. BBC Verify cannot find any published figures which show this. The U.S. Treasury Department publishes a daily statement on how much money from customs duties goes to the federal government. Data from April 7th, which includes the impact of some Trump's earlier tariffs, amounted to $215 million, but not $2 billion. That's a little bit off on the numbers there. The figure is well short of Trump's claim. Is it possible that based on the forecast for the year ahead? Could be, but it's not a year every day they're getting $2 billion. No, it's not. They're not doing that. And reminder, that's money that's not, we're not collecting that. That's basically a tax on the products that are coming in here, and the consumer is paying that. End of story. The trade deficit, are we running a $1 trillion deficit with China? The trade deficit happens when the country buys more from the other country and sells it. We have a $1 trillion trade deficit with China, Trump told reporters on April 7th. The U.S. does have a large trade deficit with China. Official figures show it was $295 billion, which is far less than the $1 trillion Trump has claimed. Globally, China exported $1 trillion more goods than it imported, but Trump is not saying that's globally. He's just saying for the United States. So once again, Trump is just making up numbers. Trump has also claimed that Canada charges U.S. farmers 270% tariff on dairy products. There is actually a high tariff, including 241% for milk, $270 for dairy powder, $298 for butter, but they only apply under very specific conditions. Under the Canadian system, U.S. dairy goods can enter the country duty-free or with very low tariffs until a certain quotas are exceeded. So this is basically Canada preserving their own dairy industry and saying once we get past a certain point, then tariffs kick in. But most American dairy is going to be able to get in there without any tariffs whatsoever. So to a point, that's a lie. Does the EU import no U.S. cars? They take millions. We take millions of the cars. They take no cars. They don't take our farm products. They don't take anything. While the U.S. imports more cars from the EU than it exports in, Trump claimed that they take no cars is absolutely false. In 2024, the EU imported 164,857 U.S.-made cars valued at $7.7 billion. 164,857 is not zero. That would be more than zero. Trump's claim about farm products is also false. The EU bought $12.8 billion of U.S. agricultural exports in 2024, making the EU America's fourth largest export market, or as Trump calls it, nothing. The fourth largest export market, nothing. I bring this up because Trump's reacting today like this is some sort of victory lap. Trump is reacting today like this is some win. They're all begging me for forgiveness, and I'll see which one I give the rose to, sort of thing. That's what he's doing. But the truth is, they had to frantically scramble today to save the American economy. And I'm not joking. We need to talk about three things: China, the bond market, and consumer confidence. Because those three things are not good right now. And the problem that we have is that damage is now done. This tariff stuff on the other sides, we're in trouble. I'll explain when I come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hello, I'm Todd Mickelson, host of a Satellite View podcast. It's hard to find clarity or focus here on the ground with the fire hose of issues and events. We go up high and look back on Earth from a satellite view, where we can gain our bearings and learn from the past to shoot for a better future. And have fun and laughs along the way. Go to am950radio.com, click the program's link, and find a satellite view with Todd Mickelson.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Dr. Stefano Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness evangelist, hosting the brand new Recharging the Human Battery show on AM 950 Radio. My co-host Mandy Dickey and I will delve into various health topics ranging from medicine to nutrition to exercise, emerging technologies, and yes, some way out there stuff. Will provide a balanced view of today's landscape, helping listeners navigate its complexities and hoping to change the way you think about your health. Recharging the Human Battery airs Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Hi, this is Ken Haglund, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, heard each Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950. Joining me this Saturday is Sharon Haywood and Denise Lessard from the MOMS program, Making Our Moms Successful. Sharon and Denise will be discussing the faith-based services and resources that serve and empower single mothers to provide a healthy home for their children. That's this Saturday, April 12th from noon to 1 on Living Healthy and Aging Well.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. All right, so why did Trump all of a sudden reverse course? Why did Trump all of a sudden have to reverse course? Now, there are some things which are happening which are really troublesome. When you look at the stock market is a kind of a how are you doing today sort of thing. How are you doing this week sort of thing. But when you look at long-term health of an economy, not just how are things doing right now, but how are things doing overall, there are generally three specific areas you want to pay attention to. The bond market, and I'll explain that in a second, the bond market, the ag market, and consumer confidence. Consumer confidence dropped precipitously on Monday. Americans absorbed the news of stock market plunges and sky-high tariffs. Basically, was it down to 90? Consumer confidence fell to 90.6 on the Monday, down 5 points from a week ago. So basically, it's dropping now. It's apparently lower than it was during the pandemic. So that's not good. Consumer confidence is being annihilated. The ag markets, China already, once again, Trump has not gotten rid of his tariffs on China. As a matter of fact, he raised them. China could cripple this country tomorrow if all of a sudden they said, you know what, we're not going to take your soybeans and pork. And that would hurt. That would hurt us dramatically. As a matter of fact, they've already decertified certain importing companies from being able to deliver products into China. Some of those are ag products. China, at the end of the day, holds the card here because we need that ag market far more than China needs our ag markets. And China doesn't seem to really care about if they almost feel like it's a source of pride to go around them. And then there's Brazil. Brazil has, remember when they were tearing down all their rainforest? They were building farms. And right now they're growing soybeans and they're growing pork and they're growing wheat and sorghum and all those things, corn. And China is now, we're already past the point of can we reel this back? China is already signing long-term deals for ag products from Brazil. So as much as we want to put Wall Street as the bellwether of the economy, the ag sector really is the one of the really major ones. And if you fracture the ag sector, like we're going to do with China, you're not looking at a recession, you're looking at a depression. When you get consumer confidence, the ag sector is under threat, which it clearly is, and that's going to cavitate. But it's the bond markets. Now, what is the bond market per se? The government bond market, if for lack of a better way to say it, is it's buying into the health of a country. Government bonds are used to compare other bonds to measure credit risk. So if our bonds are high, people feel as if we're a safe investment. If they're not, they don't feel if we're a safe investment. Last night, the second that Trump put this into play, the bond market started reacting and reacting badly because nobody was having faith that the U.S. government was in a good position. And as a matter of fact, it was collapsing. This morning, before Trump went out there and said, wait a second, just kidding, the markets were down dramatically, the futures were down dramatically, and the bond market was cavitating. Frankly, if Trump hadn't done what he did today, we right now would not be talking about this. We'd be talking about how bad things are going to get, because things are going to get bad. Now, does this get rid of this problem? God, no. You still have, I was looking today, multiple stories. The bond market is shaken, and you're not going to be able to recover that quickly. And so the bond market is barely stable. And I do mean that term. It's barely stable right now. I mean, this was enough to pull off the plunge that was coming today, but it's not rising like the rest of the stock market. Basically, investors are like, okay, what's he going to do next? Because Trump is a freaking clown car. The bond market is barely standing. The ag market is under dramatic threat, and consumer confidence is going away. When you look at what was happening last night was an express train to deep depression. A deep depression, economic depression in this country, and depression overall for most of us. Last night was, you were taking the bullet train to Depression Town yesterday. I mean, last night, just in the middle of the night when those tariffs went into place. Trump lifting all these tariffs didn't stop this, but no longer are we on the bullet train to economic collapse. We're kind of driving down the highway at probably 65, 70 miles an hour towards an economic collapse. It's not going to necessarily happen today or tomorrow, but unless Trump lifts these tariffs on China, which he is not going to, and as long as the bond market is basically just holding on the precipice of the edge, and consumer confidence continues to get worse and worse. And a reminder, those tariffs on China are going to increase the cost of products across the board. That's not going away. That is not going away. And he still has a 10% tariff on a lot of other products too, which is not going to go away. We are, unless some cooler heads prevail within that White House. I know. Unless some cooler heads prevail in that White House, we are going to be looking at an eventual, I'll say a depression. Because if the bond market collapses, if the ag markets take a severe hit by losing one of our largest trade partners in China, and consumer confidence continues to fall, plummet even, well, those are the core basis. That's the health. That's the temperature of the country. And the country right now is really sick, courtesy of the Trump flu. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's trade war narrowed focus today on China, pausing tariffs on most nations for 90 days, but hiking taxes on Chinese imports to 125%. Stocks surged on the news, the president saying,
"There's a lot of winning out there, and we're having a good day in the stock market, as you can see, an all-time record day, and hopefully it continues. I think it should. Our country's stronger than it's ever been."
The S&P soared 9.5%. The Dow gained nearly 3,000 points, while the Nasdaq jumped 12.2%. Lisa Dwyer has more reaction.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that Trump caved to mounting pressure on tariffs.
He is reeling, he is retreating, and that is a good thing.
And that Trump's approach to tariffs has caused too much of a roller coaster.
This is chaos. This is government by chaos.
President Trump disagrees.
You know, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, see, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Another legal decision going Trump's way, a federal appeals court halting a judge's order requiring thousands of fired probationary workers be reinstated. The decision comes a day after the Supreme Court blocked a similar order from a judge in California. Iran's president has again pledged his nation is not after a nuclear bomb ahead of talks between Tehran and the U.S.
Reformist President Masoud Pezeshkian going as far as dangling the prospect of direct American investment in the Islamic Republic if the countries can reach a deal. The comments are a departure from Iran's previous stance after its 2015 nuclear deal with world powers, in which Tehran sought to buy American airplanes, but in effect barred U.S. companies from coming into the country. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
This is AP News.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available.
Hey everyone, this is longtime AM 950 host Ellie Krug. I'm thrilled to announce my brand new show, The Illegal Trans Woman, which takes advocacy from my community, transgender and gender variant people, up several big notches. The Illegal Trans Woman will feature interviews, commentary, and information aimed at pushing back against efforts to oppress trans and gender variant humans. Please tune in on Saturdays at 4 or wherever you go to get your podcasts. And do me a favor, share about the show. Thanks.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. or visit snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 59, tonight cloudy with a low around 38, and Thursday cloudy with a high near 50. Savor the excellence at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. Elevate your taste buds with their range of sandwiches from the savory Philly steak to tempting turkey bacon avocado. Explore crispy chicken, fish, brisket, and pulled pork options. Check out mavericksbeef.com or visit them off Lexington and Roseville. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Wednesday. Matt and Brett. Brett, I think it's time to take the pulse of sports here in this town, and I think we can call it they're dead. It's the Twins. Did you see in the 8th inning Jax throw the ball to first base from about the distance of between you and I right now?
I did not hear that or see that one. No,
it was about 10 feet over your head. I mean, I mean, I've seen bad tosses. He was throwing it like he was throwing it to the right fielder.
I wonder if he's got the yips going on.
Well, he blew the game against Houston by giving up those 2 runs that tied the game. They were up in the 9th inning, and he had basically allowed it to tie up. And so, yeah, maybe he does. I don't know. I will actually, though. I want to give a lot of grief to the Timberwolves. Did you see any of that game last night?
Certainly heard about it, but didn't see it though.
What's this guy, DiVincenzo? Okay, what's his name? The kid, the redheaded kid we got from New York in the cat trade.
That I'm not sure what his name is or how to pronounce it. I know who you're talking about though.
He has a patented move. And okay, you know where this comes from? This comes from a guy who at every other level excelled. And so at high school and in college, he drives into the lane and he can be triple covers, but they're going to get intimidated because he's coming in strong and he's going to get a shot off. He bounces the ball into triple coverage. Last night he did this twice. He basically ran into triple coverage and suddenly was shocked, I say, that he did not have a shot on the basket. Really? And then he basically, because he was being triple teamed, turned the ball over. I can't tell you how many times. We were up by 15 points, I think, with 6.5 minutes left to go in the game. We ended up losing by 7 because the T-Wolves just threw that game away. They kept throwing passes right into the hands of the Milwaukee Bucks players. I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks players, I mean, a steal is a steal, but it was a gift. It was the Secret Santa, dude. They kept just passing the ball because they were trying to rush it. They're kind of trying to rush things. They didn't let their offense set up. They didn't allow Rudy to get down by the basket, and they kind of were like, it was, I think that I would not be surprised we're in a play-in game now again and only get wiped out by either the Lakers or Houston or Oklahoma City will probably knock us out within 4 games. And yeah, you had to win that game. You were up by 15 points with like 6 minutes left to go in the game. And you basically gave it to Milwaukee because you played like crap. Just horrible. And if I'm the liberal talk show host here in town, and I actually have to spend some time on this show talking about how god-awful the Timberwolves looked last night, man, playoff fever is a very curable disease in this town, man.
We got the Wild to cure us, though.
Oh, God. No, don't do that. Don't. You're just hurting. Matt, we have like a professional Frisbee team. Do we? Oh, I mean, is that where are we that far down the ladder that I have to, the Invergrove Heights Quidditch Club is ranked nationally. Oh, there we go. There's your sports fever. At least we can look forward to the Lynx being robbed of the national championship again and given it to New York. That's just a thank you, WNBA. Yeah, you did everything in your power to rob that team. Yeah. Why, man? Why are we doing sports in this town? Why? It's just pain and misery. It's just pain and misery. Jeez.
Kind of depressing when you think about it. Yeah, I mean, the Twins aren't going anywhere fast.
Twins are horrible. T-Wolves aren't going anywhere. Wild there's a decent chance Wild aren't even going to make the playoffs. Yeah, just god awful. Just god awful. And it's just management, it's everything. No one cares. It's and yet all of a sudden we're about to get asked for, $2 trillion for a new basketball arena. Because, arenas get its championships, man. Really? You guys got arenas all over the place. You guys can't find your caboose with both hands in your back pockets, okay? So don't tell me about championships, please. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I'm having a flashback right now to 2007, where all of a sudden today, and I have no problem putting out the phone number. I'm getting spam calls from people. Maybe I won't. I don't want you guys getting to deal with these guys. But I'm getting spam calls from people saying, "You want to sell your house?" Because nothing tells me you're more serious than hey, is your wife there? No. Oh, you're there? Hey, you want to sell your house? Tell you what, let me make you an offer. Sell your house. No, I don't want to sell my house, man. No, I do not want to do that.
Not by the phone.
Not by some guy who clearly, don't call me, man. No, we are not selling the house. All right. Is this now a thing again? Now we're back to like 2007, where basically people are trying to flip houses constantly and just trying to I was going through the mail today, went through my mail at home. I had like 5 offers for you could refi and get cash.
Oh, I get tons of those. Yes.
That doesn't seem like we didn't have that for a while now, because of you remember when they crashed the entire world economy? Yeah, I remember that. That kind of cleaned things up a little bit, but now all of a sudden that's back. Great. Okay. What can we take about this? What does this tell us? Well, it tells us right now is that there's just a lot of people who are in desperate financial straits, and people are preying upon them. Whether that's some sort of more new loan that's basically going to cost you a ton of money, or no. It is. It's some scary stuff. No, I'm not looking to sell my house. I got my house. I'm fine. I don't have a lot of debt. I pay off my credit cards every month. That's how you do it. That's how I've done it. But it is kind of scary when you see, I'm seeing this. It's reminding me of 2007 and this frantic piranha fishing, feeding frenzy when it comes to these markets right now.
Absolutely. I mean, you could make a down payment on your next house with Walmart gift cards.
Yeah,
as they'll say on the phone call. Yeah.
Well, is that what they're? Well, they can't be offering that much.
No, I don't think they are, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that point.
Do not call me, man. Do not call. And no, you might be asking yourself, so why did you answer the phone anyway? The guy called like 3 times, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe this is something else going on. Maybe there's something else going on here, and this is not some kind of spam. Yeah, that's great. 952-946-6205. You want to buy you want to sell a house? Sell a house. Let me buy. I'll give you $12 for it. No. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. That rational approach will be a reference point for this next story. The St. Croix County Assistant District Attorney was charged last week for threatening 3 judges and driving recklessly while he and his wife and children were in the car with him. Bella Alec Ballo. Wait a second. This guy's name is Bella Ballo? And it's a guy Bellaballo. It sounds like an Italian pop star.
Now coming to Target Center.
Bellaballo with Olivia Rodrigo.
Playing his favorite hits.
Bellaballo. That's not going away. Bellaballo, 33, was charged last Friday with 3 counts of threatening a judge, 1 count of disorderly conduct, 1 count of possession of THC, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia. According to the criminal complaint, once again, this is the assistant county attorney of St. Croix County, Bellaballo. According to the criminal complaint, a witness who works with Ballo told law enforcement that Bellaballo had called him and expressed he was upset over decisions the judges were making, adding it was making his life hell. During the call, Bellaballo mentioned the 3 judges, Scott Needham, Scott Nordstad, and Edward Vlack, V-L-A-C-K, by name, and explained he was angry that the judges had dismissed cases at jury trial and made adverse rulings against him. Bellaballo also said he believed the judges were doing this just to mess with him, court documents state. Bellaballo yelled on the phone multiple times that the judges need to bleed. Yikes. This is the assistant county attorney for St. Croix County. Bellaballo yelled on the phone multiple times the judges need to bleed, raising his voice each time until he was screaming, according to the complaint. Court documents say that on March 26, Ballo's wife reported to law enforcement that during a drive from the Minneapolis airport to Hudson, in which Bellaballo, his wife, and their 3 children were in the car, Bellaballo had yelled at her and drove over 90 miles an hour while weaving in and out of traffic. Ballo's wife also told police that he uses marijuana every day after work. It doesn't seem to be working. I'm just going to let you know. His wife showed law enforcement where he kept his marijuana. And I go, yeah, this is a happy marriage at this point. Here's where all of his drugs are. Tested the substance was positive for THC. The complaint states Ballo is due in court April 16th for a status conference. Now, I understand why his wife did it. You're in the car with 3 kids, screaming, yelling, driving erratically, which is something we have talked about over and over and over again as an epidemic in this town. Yeah, I get that. And by the way, where is the police president on 694 in the south, the 494 in the southeast metro from the airport heading up towards to 94 there? Guy doing 90. Yikes. This guy, it's okay. First of all, dude, I think you need to take, you can take my suggestion. This is just a mere suggestion. I think you need to take some time off because clearly the stresses of your job are impacting not only your decorum in the office, but your relationship with your spouse and your children. And I want to repeat, allegedly, he was yelling and speeding with his kids in the car. So much concern there by his wife that his wife contacted the police and said something's wrong here. I will also say this. Like I said, I've got friends who smoke dope. I know. I've got friends that do smoke dope. And I have friends who, whether it's been through medical issues or non-medical issues, smoke dope on a fairly regular day. This calms them down. I mean, I can only imagine what this guy would be like if he didn't have the dope. And if you think, and at this point, I got to imagine the St. Croix County attorney is got to be looking and saying to him, yeah, now that anytime one of this guy has to get any of these judges in his court, is he's in their courtroom, that's not going to go well. I think you need to take a few steps back, look in the mirror, evaluate some things. Bellaballo. Maybe it's the name. I don't understand why Bellaballo's got such an attitude problem. Sounds like a self-help guy character in a children's book. Bellaballo seems to be an angry man. I don't know. Let's go ask Rabbit.
What do you think his middle name is?
Well, it says he's called Alec, which good call, by the way, on that one.
Yeah.
Because if it's Bella Bioballo, that's just some cruel parents right there.
I do like his initials. Then would be Bab.
Well, if Alec is his middle name, that just could be just his nickname. But God, tell me it is like something like Bio, Bella Bioballo.
It's just some parents had fun with that one. If that's the
blah blah blah. Randy is in Minnetonka. Let's get the call in here. You wanted to chime in on my earlier comment about spam callers. Hello, Greg.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, man.
So the reason I was calling back is I couldn't talk because I was filling my car earlier. But you were talking about people calling to take advantage. And a couple of years ago, there was this woman. She'd call and she'd go, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And I you know what? I can't talk right now. I'm sorry. So the third time she calls back, she goes, "Hey, baby, you're hard to get over than the last pickle in a pickle jar."
Wow.
So I'm thinking that might be a good way to negotiate with Trump. Go, "Hey, baby."
Well, it's not that. Well, first of all, it's one pickle in the jar. How is that? How hard is that? I mean, it's not like it's pickle size on the top of the jar. It's easy to get out of there. No, it's this guy. Was she like that too? Was she like, "Do you want to sell your house?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, sorry to bother you with that silliness, but I thought it was
you bother me with the silliness anytime you want. Thank you very much. Greg in Minnetonka, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Bella Bioballo. Oh, Alec, take a few steps back. I don't think things are working out the way you thought they were going to. All right. It might be time for a break. I'm just going to suggest it. Might be time for a break. Focus on the family, focus on the kids, get this dealt with, apologize profusely, and move on. And yeah. That's just a suggestion. Because all this is alleged at this point. This is just a suggestion. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break, come back. The Matt McNeil Show.
Live and share mental health with Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. Hello, everyone. We are Becky McNatton and Tara Martini, hosts of Feels Out Loud, a show dedicated to expanding the paradigm of mental health.
Tune in to develop both personal and relational insight, language on emotions, and daily life application.
Join us weekly as we explore topics connected to mental wellness. Each Sunday at 9 a.m. here on AM 950, be a part of our mission to connect this world more authentically and fully with one another.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblat. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblat from Shamblat Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
A wonderful Easter is easy with the annual Easter brunch at the Park Tavern. Enjoy Easter ham, roast beef, all your Easter breakfast favorites, all the sides and desserts. Seating's from 10:30 to 3 on Sunday, April 20th, and you need reservations. $24.95 for adults, $19.95 for those 65 and over, and kids 12 and under, and 5 and under are free. And don't forget the hour of free bowling with every reservation. Call 952-929-6810. That's 952-929-6810 on Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Easter brunch is fun and easy and waiting for you at the Park Tavern.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. All righty. I'll dive on into this. I'll bite. Minnesota Representative Drew Roach, Republican from Farmington, and Senator Bill Lesky, the Republican from Lonsdale, called the January 6th insurrection a hoax, repeated a false conspiracy theory that the Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol were actors during a video podcast on Monday on YouTube and on a right-wing platform. Now, I don't mean to call into question the intelligence of two sitting representatives, or senator and a representative, but let me ask you this, riddle me this, morons. If they were actors and it wasn't really right-wing people, why then did Trump pardon them? Because if they were actors, they weren't really MAGA. They were, what, Antifa? The FBI? Is Trump in on it too? Is that what you're saying? Because if it wasn't MAGA, and it was a bunch of actors who have all been arrested and put into jail, then why did Donald Trump pardon all of them? Oh, you see, is this little that little hitch in the old logic problem there, kind of. Lisky and Roach host a show called, well, I was going to say something else. Hey, they host a show. The two discuss the state Senate floor vote on a resolution condemning Trump's blanket pardon of the more than 1,500 people charged with crimes related to the January 6th insurrection. Lisky was absent for the vote, and all 2022 of the Republicans present voted against the resolution. Once again, pro-insurrection of the Capitol. If I would have been there, probably would have ended up voting no. I think it was such a stupid resolution, said Lisky on the podcast. Once again, reminder, the same Senate Republicans who a few weeks ago came up with a Trump derangement syndrome bill put forward by their caucus member and friend to some of the senators, Justin Eichhorn, who, by the way, is no longer in the Senate because, oh, that's right, he allegedly solicited a minor for sex. So you guys have no ability, Trump derangement syndrome, to accuse anyone else of a hoax or anything like that in regards to bills coming up for vote. Roach then launched into an explanation of why he believes January 6th was a hoax. You had people that were actors who were wearing the uniform of the Trump supporter that made it look like they were there to support Donald Trump, Roach said. Once again, apparently Roach's argument is they were so convincing that Trump himself pardoned them. MAGA supporters are at the time were upset with mask mandates, Roach said, arguing that because some insurrectionists were wearing masks, those were not real, true MAGA Donald Trump conservative supporters. Aha. As evidence for the hoax hypothesis, Roach cited the timing of the Capitol breach while Congress was debating whether to certify the election results in Arizona, which Biden had won, and floor speeches made by the members of Congress immediately after the riot, all using the word insurrection. It was all prepared, Lesky said. I had never heard the term insurrection in my life until that day, Roach said. Well, there was a Star Trek movie called Star Trek Insurrection. So you were completely, well, not Trekkies, huh? I've never heard that term in my life. And by the way, is there anything funnier than a stupid idiot pretending that they're clever by saying something like, I never heard the word insurrection before, check and mate. You haven't? Well, then you're stupid and you didn't finish high school. All right. Just saying. So you're telling me you were scared for your life. You were in the basement calling your family, but you were rewriting a new speech? I call blank, he says. He swore. This is once again a sitting House member on a podcast. Around 140 law enforcement officers were injured in the insurrection. More than 1,500 people were charged with crimes ranging from disorderly conduct to carrying a weapon on Capitol grounds and assaulting a law enforcement officer. More than 1,000 pled guilty, with 281 cases going to trial, which once again, if these are actors, you're saying they were so complicit in this that they stayed in character as they were being sentenced. They didn't give up the ghost saying, well, I was here because, the Joe Biden team had me come on in. No, none of them did that. They're all there. And once again, Donald Trump pardoned them all. So your argument is they were so good at being fake Trump supporters that Trump himself was convinced. Trump, who told that crowd to go get him and march him up to the Capitol, he was so convinced that they were all on my side. Among those convicted, 14 members of the far-right organization Proud Boys and North Keepers, members of the Telegram group called Patriots 45 MAGA Gang, who brought tactical gear to the Capitol to violently remove traitors, and numerous people who posted on their personal social media accounts live streams while breaching the Capitol. That's the other part that you guys want to keep forgetting. You guys all gave us the evidence against you as you proudly streamed the whole thing. The U.S. Capitol Police Chief testified on Tuesday that Trump's pardons had negative repercussions on morale within the department for police across the country. I think there was an impact not only to the Capitol Police, but an impact nationwide when you see folks that are pardoned, and I'm really referring to the ones that were convicted of assaulting police officers, said J. Thomas Manger, said during a hearing on the department's budget request. So once again, if you think that this is all fake and you basically do not care about cops being assaulted, you don't. You do not care about police officers being assaulted. And the reason why is that down deep inside, you're okay with those cops being assaulted because it was MAGA, but then it was actors. So it wasn't MAGA, but then they got pardoned. But if they were getting pardoned, then they were MAGA, which means that they weren't actors. You see, as you guys are just so determined to turn your horrible actions and your anti-American thought processes into something noble and righteous. And they're neither. They're just sad, pathetic attempts at trying to make yourself the hero of your little Twitter group. Oh, Brett, I never heard of the word insurrection before. Gotcha. Zinger. I don't know if that's how, I don't know. I'm just doing, you see, I do jokes. I don't know if that's how either one of these two clown cars sound when they're in the state capitol. They could be going around going all the time. They could. I don't know. Nor do I care. Because if you want to look at people that tried to overthrow the government as some sort of mass conspiracy that was actually a good thing, and I don't. Yeah. Why did he pardon them if they weren't real? I would just. Is Trump in on it? Is he really a triple agent now? Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, the only thing that guy dude is triple on his triple stack burgers. I mean, that's all. That's about the only thing. All right, guys. Thanks for letting us know. And I guess until the Republican Party, and once again, the Republican Party voted to say, no, we're not even going to condemn the pardon of the insurrectionists. So make sure, hey, Farmington, is that what you want representing you? Is that what you want there as your guy? Is that it? And I'm sure there's some people down in Farmington going, yes. But I guarantee you, I know a lot of people in Farmington, they're like, no. But hey, good luck this next election. Good luck. DFL, you should be running someone against Roach right now. You should be running someone against Roach who would be canvassing his district, having meetings saying, hey, did you hear what he said this time? That's one quick way to end that his tenure in the House. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Hey, it's Patrick. Spring showers may bring May flowers, but they also bring big savings with Zero Res. And right now, you can beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel, preparing your home for the brighter days ahead. Just check out the almost 21,000 raving customer service reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating and see what all the hype is about. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $119 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning as well. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res right now at 952-ZERO-RES or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Spell it backward or forward, it's the same. Zero Res.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 59, tonight cloudy with a low around 38, and Thursday cloudy with a high near 50. Savor the excellence at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. Elevate your taste buds with their range of sandwiches from the savory Philly steak to tempting turkey bacon avocado. Explore crispy chicken, fish, brisket, and pulled pork options. Check out mavericksbeef.com or visit them off Lexington and Roseville. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Boy, just caught the thing came across about the bond market. One of the reasons why the bond market was capitulating this morning was China was selling off their shares of it. They're unloading it, and that flooded the market. And there's what all of a sudden why it was plummeting. God, and once again, the bond market really hasn't recovered. Dow Jones went up what 2,900 points a day, but the bond market still is kind of shaken there because frankly, China is one of the biggest buyers of our bonds. And if they all of a sudden start selling off en masse, see, China can hurt us. You have to understand that. And you may not, maybe we should let them do it until they're okay. You want to start a 20-year depression in this country where people are eating a can of beans a day like we did the last time this happened, where people were selling apples and pencils on the streets? Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, man. I don't think that's a good idea at all. We should talk a little bit. Maybe I'll go into this right now. That there has been a stunning amount of business closures and reductions of staff in the last 2 months as well in the state of Minnesota. And I don't think that this is a coincidence. I do not think. I think some of it is people who are saying, you know what, I've run this company for 40 years. I can already see the headaches that are coming my way. I'm too old. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to shut it down. Or it's I'm already, leveraged to the hilt. I can't afford to do this. It's time to get out while the getting's good. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But almost every day I am seeing a news story about a larger employer cutting staff. Teleflex, the medical device manufacturer, is going to close its Maple Grove facility, lay off 101 employees. A warning letter submitted to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development says the facility on Sycamore Court North will be completely closed by March of 2026. Layoffs are expected to begin on July 1st, with laboratory and manufacturing operations expected to cease by June 30th, except for the Gel Flow product line, which is expected to end by the fall. The employees are not part of a union, and the company has provided them 60 days written notice regarding pending layoffs, according to the letter. Well, it's a shame, because if you had a union, you might have some benefits after that 60 days, but the job cuts come despite the company's latest quarterly earnings report, December 2024, showing a profit around $3 billion, or an increase of approximately 2.4%. However, Teleflex has also reported a net income drop of just over $217 million. So, yeah, I'm a little. Yeah, I look at these stories and I'm like, okay, clearly there's some money in this company. And I think what's happening is people are liquidating. I think they're just saying, okay, let me get the money out of this now, sell off what I can. It sounds like they have some products that are somewhat popular, somewhat successful. But yeah, there's that. And then there was the other story that came out today. Minnesota small business owner is now saying the U.S. tariffs on China could be devastating to her business. Beth Beneke, of the CEO of Busy Baby, which is designs and manufactures baby products, just landed a deal with Walmart and Target. Good for you. But now she says she can't afford to get her products out of China. It's terrifying. It can't get more personal. This is our everything. This is our dream, she said. Beneke says U.S. tariffs on China are more than doubling her costs. The company uses materials that are sourced in Asia, and the products are manufactured in China. She said she has about 4 months worth of product left in her warehouse in Zumbrota, but if she doesn't find an alternative, she is worried that she'll lose her business. Zumbrota, you think that that won't hurt Zumbrota to lose that warehouse facility? My house is leveraged. My children's home is leveraged against this business. So in 4 months' time, when I run out of inventory, I can't figure out a way to pay the bills. I don't even want to think about what the consequences of that will be. I just have to figure out a way to sell my products in a different way, she said. Beneke is working with policymakers and some Minnesota lawmakers on possible solutions. She is also exploiting the idea of trying to sell her product in Europe or Australia instead. Maybe that might work a little bit, but I mean, if your product's coming out of China right now, I'm going to share that. So we have to get, my youngest daughter is going off to college, and so we have to get a laptop. And we're an Apple family. I got iPhones and stuff like that, iMacs. And generally it's the case. Whatever you have, you generally are that. And I looked at my wife today and I said, we'd better go over and get this now. before these tariffs really kick in on, especially on the Apple products, and get this taken care of, because I can't imagine how much more expensive it is. Here's this woman here, and her business is on the line. And once again, this is not liberal city person. I mean, she's got at least her warehouse facilities in Zimbrota. Where is it? Hey, Republicans, instead of avoiding voting against condemning Trump for pardoning insurrectionists, or having a podcast where you sit there and talk about how this didn't really happen, maybe, I don't know, you guys get off your caboose and realize you are on the verge of a massive economic crater in rural Minnesota. Minnesota's got a lot of pork producers. Minnesota's got a lot of soybean producers. There are discussions going on right now in farms across this country about whether or not they're even going to plant a product this year. Because what's the point if you already are underwater the second the seed hits the ground? Because China's not going to take the product. There's this mentality that the United States was the only game in town. And while we were sleeping and thinking that that was somehow our saving grace, Brazil and Argentina and Paraguay, I've been reading more about Paraguay and how they've upped their agricultural sector dramatically. And Australia, New Zealand, these countries are stepping in and they're taking over our markets. And no, we'll just have more pork here at home. Okay, so you flood the American market and you cavitate the price of pork so it's 10 cents a pound? You think the pork producers are going to be able to survive off that? I'm starting to have the legit question of how much of this is the plan in place, because I'm stunned. I am stunned that the Republican Party of Minnesota has not been out there much more aggressively saying, no. We need to preserve our Chinese markets. We need to preserve our foreign markets. We can't survive without them. I'm starting to wonder if this is the whole game indeed, is that the largest corporate ag producers, and they are companies, like I've said, they have a farm out there, but it's only for show. For the most part, they live in the metro areas, whether that's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or in Sioux Falls, or in Fargo, and their kids go to private schools, and they live in the ritziest suburbs and the biggest houses out there. And every once in a while, they strap on their jeans and a flannel shirt, and they go out to the farm and act like, here's our day out there, we're planting. Farm life, hashtag farm life. And I know this, and once again, we talked about this, about 2 years ago, when I ran into a guy that does landscaping out in rural, Minnesota, and basically he's saying he's got clients, which is these huge corporate farmers, and he's out there mowing their lawn, making sure flowers are out there, making sure it looks like it's lived in. He goes, and those people don't ever come out there. They're living in the cities. They only show up when it's photo op time. I wonder how much of this is the Trump administration and Republicans looked at the largest corporate farmers and said, here's the deal. We're going to cause a little bit of pain, but you're going to be fine, because we'll give out government checks mainly to you guys, the wealthiest farmers. So we'll get you through this. Middle and lower class farmers, the mid-level producer, the small level producer, they're going to get wiped out. But here's an opportunity for you. We'll give you a big check, and then you can go out and buy their farms. And your operation now becomes 2-3 times bigger. And the best part is if you're concerned about those farmers being out of work, well, they can punch a clock for you. I'm starting to really wonder if this is the whole plan in the first place, to just wipe out a majority of the farmers in America. I've talked about how in 40 years, I mean, I've been in small town America. In 40 years, it's gone from a place where there were a few shops, gas station, maybe a restaurant or two, grocery store, a few gas stations, a co-op, maybe a dress store, maybe an art dealer, maybe something like that 40 years ago. Now it's a co-op, gas station. You might have a bar. You might have one restaurant. You might. There's no other jobs. There's a 20-person waiting list for the third shift at the gas station. The Republicans have absolutely imploded rural America. They have destroyed the American farmer. They have destroyed the rural way of life. They have, because they have done this with complete control over rural America for the last 40 years. They promised they were going to make your lives better, but ever since Republicans have been in charge in rural America, your lives have gotten markedly worse. And yet they keep still pointing at Democrats. Oh, it's those Democrats. No, it's not. Your markets are getting taken out right now by Republicans, and the Republicans of Minnesota sit there and say nothing. Nothing. They're not trying to stop it. They're not pleading. They're not begging. They're not trying to help their own constituents. But what they do have is big benefactors who write big checks who are willing to watch as your farm gets taken away from you and handed over to another corporate farmer. And then eventually, now we're going to open up the markets to China again. And probably a little too late at that point. We're in trouble in Minnesota. We're in trouble in this country. And it is stunning to me how few people on the Republican side are saying anything about the impending destruction of rural America. Tells you everything right there. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Let's take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday. Everyone knows I love Rudy Luther Toyota, but do you know who else loves Toyotas? Consumer Reports. They're out with their best of 2025 auto issue, and once again, it reads Toyota, Toyota, Toyota. Of the new 2025 models, Consumer Reports recommends the Prius, Corolla, Corolla Hybrid, the Camry, the Sienna, the Corolla Cross Hybrid, the RAV4, the RAV4 Hybrid, the Highlander, and the Highlander Hybrid. In almost every class, you'll find a Toyota. Find one for yourself at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hey, it's Tom. As the birds begin to sing and the days grow longer, there's no better time to spring into savings than now with All Energy Solar. Spring is perfect for home improvements, so why not choose a project that saves you money and helps create a cleaner, greener planet? While solar panels require an initial investment, the savings on your energy bills quickly add up. With a lifespan of at least 25 years, your system from All Energy Solar can save you tens of thousands of dollars over time. Act now and you can still take advantage of the 30% federal tax credit. Plus, you may qualify for additional incentives depending on where you live. The future is uncertain, but with solar energy, you can lock in your energy rates for years to come. With All Energy Solar's experience and expertise, they'll guide you toward a greener future and unlock the full potential of solar power. Take the first step toward energy independence and a greener future. Get a free consultation today at allenergysolar.com. That's allenergysolar.com.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. This headline just popped across my screen. Missouri foster mom to 200 kids is accused of trading a child for an exotic monkey. Trump's America, man. Missouri woman accused of trading her foster child for an exotic monkey has been arrested. Brenda Ruth Deutsch, 70 of Lincoln County, was arrested on 3 felony counts of neglect, child abuse, and child endangerment stemming from initial allegations of a missing child who was later located in Texas. Missouri protectors announced on Sunday Lincoln County prosecutor Mike Wood told NBC News in a phone call on Wednesday that Deutsch, who has said she's fostering more than 200 children for about 15 to 20 years, is also being investigated in connection for allegations she traded that child for a monkey. Wow. There you go. Did not have that one on my bingo card today. No, not at all. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Once again, I'm going to spend my last few minutes here completely and totally agreeing with Republicans and a lot of Democrats as well, because the Met Council is garbage. Now, I'm very clear here. The Met Council with the Southwest Light Rail line, there is something seriously effing corrupt about these people, that the ones that got approved, they decided to build a part of the project, which was never part of the project, the transit center in Eden Prairie, without any approval of anything. They just themselves made the decision that was going to get built, and it was going to cost the city of Hopkins. When I was on the Planning and Zoning Committee, a major part of the deal was the maintenance facility they were going to build in Hopkins. And apparently that's not going to happen now, because some people in the Met Council just made the decision that we're just going to take the money away from Hopkins and give it to Eden Prairie. Ha 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 ha. At least that's the way I understand it. The legislative auditor found fault in the way the council generated contractor Lunda McCrossan joint venture handled change orders, revisions of original construction plans that can result in more money being paid out to the contractor to get the work done. The legislative auditor tested 41 change orders, which are not unusual in a project of Southwest size and complexity. As of March 2023, the council had paid Lunda McCrossan roughly $210 million related to 580 change orders, according to the testimony on Monday. Wow. The auditor's report highlighted a change order involving a late addition to a crash wall to separate light rail and freight trams west of Target Field that ultimately ended up costing about $90 million. The council initially estimated the wall would cost about $37 million. McCrossan put the figure at 82.6, a difference of approximately $45 million. Ultimately, the Met Council agreed to pay $83.4 million for the mile-long wall. Without established guidelines to compare estimates to change orders, it is difficult to determine if the council received fair and reasonable costs for project change orders. Zeal said the council has hired a new consultant to help with change orders. Man, you just funneled money to one contractor. And I'd love to hear, what did they get you for Christmas? Did they get anything for Christmas to the Met Council? I bet it was, if they did, I bet it was really nice. What I'm hearing is that there's a $45 million mistake that was wasn't put out for rebidding. It is completely unacceptable, said Representative Stephen Jacob, a Republican from Altura. Completely agree. I'm 100% on board with this guy. How in the hell do you get, okay, we got $37 million for you. It's going to cost $83 million. Whoa, okay, well, that's pretty expensive. We need to put this out for rebidding. No, don't do that. Just give us the money. Okay, here's a check. You got to rebid that project, man. Now, because I can tell you right now, I guarantee you someone in the media is going out to another construction company and finding out what their charge would have been for that same wall. A bill that would permanently protect the different story. That's a different story. But there's multiple other things apparently that happened in this hearing that was specifically with change orders that show you that the Met Council is out of control. The Met Council is out of control. And I agree with the Republicans. It's time to make these guys elected officials, that this can no longer just be something that the governor appoints, that there has to be some level of consequences and ability to remove these people from their position when they show such obscene disrespect for the metropolitan area, for goodness sakes. This is all about them, nothing else. I would say, and frankly, I would say it should be a 2-year term, because you're dealing with so much money that you should have a level of accountability that isn't, well, every 6 years we're up for election. No. I think the Met Council needs to have elected officials that run for those positions who are accountable to the public. Because right now, the system that we have clearly is not working. I'll get to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area thing with Tina Smith. I'll get to that tomorrow. Native Roots Radio is up next. We will be back tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most